good evening, everybody. Welcome to Peace on the Streets radio show.
Yes, sir.
All right, we want to thank everybody for being in the building. Today is Wild
Wealthy Wednesday
with our girl, favorite financial planner, Rochelle Smith.
What's up, y'all? Hey, you know this is not the second or fourth Wednesday because what did I say before? They treat me like a stepchild. Kicked me off last week.
Oh man, I mean somebody
again, kick me off.
We double booked. That's the man right there that did the booking right there. Just saying.
I did forget to update the website, and there may have been some double bookings because
so
of
nice
that.
to me today.
Yeah, it was an accident. Sometimes in radio we have issues, but we said, well, you know what? We're going to bring her in today and next week.
That's true.
We're going to
Really?
do double trouble with Rochelle Smith.
Absolutely, and I'm so sorry, but we gotta get a lot of videos up because, by the way, guys, if you haven't heard, I'm gonna say it again. We record every show and we upload on YouTube daily. That's right,
Nice.
daily. Every single
Daily.
day, there's a video coming out from Peace on the Streets Radio. Check us out on YouTube, and that way you get to not only hear our lovely voices, but see Rochelle's lovely voice and see her lovely face.
Rub it in good.
Yeah.
Rub it in real good.
He made the mistake last week.
Oh, she looking good today. Extra beautiful.
Yeah, she did. I guess she
That's,
must got somewhere to go this weekend or something going down.
No.
Rochelle, we know you be doing a lot of events for is with
Yeah.
financings and all that kind of good stuff. You know the holidays are coming up.
Yes.
What should we be doing with our money and investing? Should we be buying gifts? What should we do instead of all this gift shopping?
Well, first of all, let me say, speaking of different events and stuff, so there's a wonderful event coming up this Friday by one of my favorite nonprofits, Women on the Rise.
Nice.
It's going to be downtown UCF, and I think it's sold out.
Ooh,
But
let's go.
it's going to be a wonderful event sponsored by Ford, and it's for empowerment of women. It's called Educated and Broke. So we're going to be there. I will be speaking, of course, on finances, mastering, investing, budgeting, and saving.
May I just say
Yes.
Go ahead.
the title is fantastic.
Educated and Broke.
Educated
yes.
and broke. Wow, is that relatable? Woo! Educated
Yeah.
and broke.
Girl, you're
Goodness gracious.
always into something.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. That's this coming Friday. And then I always give people my email address at the end, but I'm going to give it to you at the beginning today because I want you to sign up for my Money Talk, which is going to happen on November 15th. So if you go to AMESfinancialsolutions.com, AMES, financialsolutions.com, click on to when the pop-up comes up, put your email in there so that I can invite you to my free Money Talk. This month, we will be covering everything from 2023 and how to get ready for 2024.
Awesome.
Nice.
You don't want to miss it. The Money Talks are always great.
You guys make
Okay.
sure
Okay.
But
get that
tonight-
email and use it.
2024 is right around the corner.
I'm
man.
I'm talking about 2024. What?
It's
How?
next week.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to 2023.
Yes.
It just, Jesus,
It flew by.
shot by.
It
Yes.
went poof.
Yeah, and before we know it was gone.
Absolutely. And we always start our Wild Wealthy Wednesday with things that
Keep you broke. Oh, Lord.
Not that we want you to be broke. We want you to be wealthy. But, these are the things that are holding you back.
That's right. And that's
That's
the
right.
concept. Some people
Yeah.
like, all right, I need
Why
to
you
listen
talking
in
about
so
broke?
I
Yeah.
can stay broke. I mean, nah.
No, we're telling you what not to do.
Come on now.
And
Come
the
on
first
now.
thing that we want to tell you, I know it's tough, but not having a will, maybe
Right.
not keep you broke, but it keep your family broke, all
Okay.
right? And keep you in court. So I always say, for the most part, not every single time, but for the most part, a will is better than nothing. A trust is better than a will. I'm going to say that again.
Okay.
For the most part, a will is better than nothing, and a trust is better than a will. There are times where maybe that could not be true, so I can't say 100% every single time. But, if you pass away, you want the person that you desire to have your assets.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Not,
Michelle,
yes.
what's the difference between a trust and a will?
I was just about to ask.
Beautiful,
that. Yes.
beautiful
Thank you.
question. So first of all, a will, it can come in different forms. I always say work with an attorney so they can outline what you want to happen to your assets when you pass away.
Okay.
Okay? If you only have a will, then it can still go to court. Somebody can still contest it when you pass away. They can go to court, they can contest it, and it may take a while.
Okay.
A trust cannot be contested. It cannot go to probate.
Really?
Whatever you say in the trust is what has to happen. All right?
okay.
So that cannot be contested. Creditors cannot get to your assets if they are in a trust.
How do you set up a trust?
Wow, we got
An
good
estate
questions.
planning attorney. So you need to get an estate planning attorney, a family attorney. And I always tell people, they're like, oh, I don't have that much money. You can pay now or you can pay later, right? So it may cost $1,000, $1,500, whatever it costs. You either pay now or your family's going to pay later. Because if you die with no will or no trust, you're going to have to probably end up going to court anyway,
Right.
And that's going to be very expensive.
Do they have payment plans on the trust?
So talk to an attorney. Everybody has their own system, but you want powers of attorney, right? If
Yeah.
you can't speak for yourself, you want somebody else to be able to speak on your behalf.
Right.
For everybody that has a bank and you got all of your jewelry at the bank in a box with your stocks and your goals and everything, somebody needs to know where the key is, bro.
Right.
Right? Somebody needs to know where the key is so they
True,
can get to that.
true,
Let me ask
So
this.
yes.
You need an attorney for a trust period, right?
You need an attorney.
Got
You
it.
need an
sense.
attorney. Now, a will, like I said, a will has different forms. Sometimes things are admissible, sometimes they're not. So remember, we talked about Aretha Franklin,
Yeah, we
right?
did, with the
and
notebook.
we said the notebook, the last notebook that they found, they actually went with that because she had everything listed out, wrote out, had it split, and they were like, this is probably somebody who was in their right mind. She listed it all out. They accepted it. Now, depending on what you state you're in, there may be some different things, but I say if you don't have a will, then the courts get to decide. So if you don't like your baby daddy and you have kids that are underage and you haven't set up a guardian or you all haven't discussed how that was going to go, you might not like what the state does. You know?
Right.
True,
Okay.
true.
But a will will protect
A will
that,
will
right?
help you with that. Absolutely. A will definitely help you with that. So again, our rule is in general, because we have to say that a will is better than
Nothing
a trust is better than a
will.
Gotcha.
I got you.
Oh, y'all
Oh,
that
man, you guys.
Very nice. Very
Right
nice.
here on Peace on the Streets, you guys.
If you don't know what's going on right now, that we're voting, we're in the process of voting, guys, whether it's your local officials.
That's right, you guys. What is
state
it?
Congress, really.
November the 7th.
That's right. So it's going to take all of us working together to select Dr. V. Issa White for Congress in order to bring long-lasting change to Florida District 10. Everyday people can make a difference. And this is why we have him in-house today.
You guys, and don't forget to vote for our boy Samuel B. Ings
That's
as well.
right.
It's November the 7th. You guys got to get out and vote. We all the time talk about we want change, but what are we doing to make a change? We have to put the right people in the right place to make a change. So you guys, Dr. V. Issa White, that's our guy, you guys. He's in the building today, and he's running for Congress.
Yes,
We got a
sir.
congressman in the house, you guys. So you guys, keep it locked to Peace on the Streets. Hopefully he'll get on the mic and at least say something a little later on today. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking about like facts and what's going on legally and everything, we have Rochelle Smith that's teaching us about the difference between wills and trustees. And that's a big deal. We didn't even know the difference, most of us.
Right.
We didn't know we had to have an attorney or the difference of
Right.
how to hire, what to do with this aspect. But quickly with the trustees,
trust. Yep.
trust. Mm-hmm. You got to go only to a lawyer,
Yeah.
not to a bank.
I mean, a bank may have a person in there because a bank can be a trustee for a person. So they may have somebody in-house that they use. But the whole point is you're not sitting there putting it together yourself.
Right.
You need a professional attorney, somebody that knows how the court system works and knows how these documents should be written up. I want to say one important thing while we're on wills and trusts is that we talked about a will that it can be contested in court. In a trust typically is not. Also, a will is public. So whatever's in your will, you know, it's public. A trust is private. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So yes. So,
I want private. I don't want anybody might be eating it.
Once you file it, it's public, right? So after you die?
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
Even if you're alive and you file it, it's public?
So it's not going to be, nobody's going to know it, you know, while you're alive. But when you pass away, you know, you got to submit it, make sure everybody gets the right stuff. And so here's the thing. Okay. We've had people who were like, oh, no, our family is so good. We don't have any problems. If anything happens with mom and dad, we know who's going to do what. And then mom and dad pass away, and guess what?
Problems.
Like, what happened? I thought y'all were good. Like, what? I
Things
thought you
changed.
knew that you
I
got
want my inheritance.
the china cabinet, you got the jewelry. Now all of a sudden you want the truck too. Like, how did that happen? And then the parents may say, "Our kids know what we want." No. I don't like that statement. My kids know what I want. I don't like that statement. Put it in writing. If it's not in writing, it ain't real.
It's irresponsible.
When it comes to money and finances, forget about it. Absolutely everybody argues over it.
Yeah. And then, so I tell you all this all the time because there are a lot of single people out there. There are a lot of married people who are also single, believe that or not. You can be married and single. If you have a bank account, and it's just your name, if it's Prince, if your bank account just has your name on it, good, cool, it's your bank account. But you do need a payable on death on your bank account. Okay. Because if something happens to you, if you pass away, no one can get in that account. We got to go to court to get the money that we need to pay bills or to help bury you. Or,
so you need to have another signature?
No. A payable on death. Is this specifically what it is? A payable on death. That means if I pass away, this person is the beneficiary of this account.
Payable on death.
What was the question, Mimi?
Is it beneficiary?
It's payable on death. Is the benefit.
Got it.
It's basically a beneficiary.
And that can be anybody that you want.
Yes. And
trust.
Anybody. I mean, you're gonna be dead, so you know.
You're not gonna be doing nothing. You're gonna be doing nothing.
Yeah, but let's just say you keep $25,000 in your account, and you pass away, and they need that money to do some things.
Right.
No one can get to that if you don't have a payable on death on there. Now, the payable on death, the person who you have listed can't do anything while you're alive. So they're not a joint account holder.
Awesome, yes.
They don't get to know what's in your account. So that can ease your mind. It's when you pass away, then that springs into place.
Okay. And what, you just take that person to the bank with you?
You go to the bank yourself. That person doesn't necessarily have to go with you. You go to the bank and you say, I want to add a payable on death. They're going to give you a little form. Now, a lot of people will not let you do that online. They want you to come in, but if it's an online bank, I'm assuming you got to do it online.
Wow.
Or through the mail.
That's important.
Yeah. Man,
yeah.
I'm learning some stuff today for real.
That's an estate planning kind of tool that we need, of course. We know about our insurance policies, right?
Yeah.
You know, you have to have a beneficiary.
Right.
That can't be contested typically in court. And I got to use the word typically. Whoever you say is a beneficiary, that's the beneficiary. Life insurance a policy is a contract, right? So whoever's the beneficiary is the beneficiary. Now, can someone contest it? Typically, no, but I've seen where it has happened like twice. So one, somebody got an insurance policy on somebody else that might be illegal. Like, I didn't sign for you to get no insurance policy on me. You know, it may be something illegal, or maybe the person wasn't competent, whatever the case may be.
Okay.
But typically an insurance policy is a contract. Whoever's the beneficiary is the beneficiary. The other thing that I've seen is I think I heard a case where, you know, a husband had somebody on the side, and she had an insurance policy. Now, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but he let her get it. But for some reason, and I don't remember the details behind it, I think the wife sued her. maybe sued the side lady or something
Really?
like that. Yeah, something like that happened. I don't know the details on it, but what I want to say is make sure you're locking it down and you're working with an attorney to make sure your estate plan is in place.
That's right. It's like working with a coach, right? Like if you work out by yourself, you're probably going to do something that's sloppy.
Not going to dot your I's and cross your T's.
Exactly. Just work with a coach that's really going to be able to nail it down for you. And if you're not going to take risks on your body, you definitely don't want to take risks on your finances. Especially
No, you don't want your money all over the place, man.
Yeah,
that's
man.
important.
That's super important. You know, that's your legacy right there.
That's your legacy. So another case that I heard recently is a couple that never got married. Their choice, right?
Okay.
You have to get married, your choice, but they were together for a long decades. Okay, but they weren't married.
I like that.
Okay,
I like that vibe.
You like that vibe. So that's your lady. You like that vibe.
I do.
If something happens to you, does everything go to your daughter, or do you give lady something? Because you got to have that in writing. Because she doesn't have any rights, especially if it's in a state that's not common law. She doesn't have any rights.
Makes sense. Is Florida common law?
Wow.
The case was in Florida. That case was in Florida, and they were together for 40 years.
Okay.
They were never married. So when he passed away recently, she did not have a lot of rights.
She didn't get anything?
I mean, if they had something together, yes, but she lived in the house. If the house was in her name, okay. If it was in his name, it's not necessarily hers.
Wow.
So it's
other like sisters, brothers.
It's up to their family if they want to.
Yeah, for them to say, well, all right.
Family
Betty was with him for a long time.
They weren't married. So
only way to secure your assets is really just a
put
will.
it in writing. I'm telling you, put it. If it ain't in writing, it ain't real.
Truly, the Commonwealth would give them some sort of security, because after having mail being sent to your home, you have to evict them the correct way. You can't just kick them out. So I really thought they had more rights.
So yeah, they have rights, but they don't have rights to your bank account.
And that's your house.
That's your house, and it's not your bank account.
True.
Not
your
your
car.
car.
Pay the bills.
Not your car.
Huh.
But her name may have been on the house, so they may be fine there. But I'm just saying other things, bank accounts,
finances.
assets. Yeah.
The money you had on X and Y account. You know,
I mean, if it was a joint account, cool. If it wasn't, then she just got to see if y'all give her something.
Y'all keep it locked to Peace on the Streets. Today it's very interesting, you guys. We getting down to the nitty gritty, as they say, you guys. So y'all keep it locked to Peace on the Streets radio show.
Everybody's so quiet today. Our hearts have been touched. We're heartbroken. Like, this is real information, though. We got to talk about it.
It's real talk. Ain't nothing funny about that.
Ain't nothing funny about it, right?
Ain't nothing funny about it.
You're kicking it live with Rochelle Smith on
Wild Wealthy Wednesday. To this, because we didn't finish things that keep you broke.
I'm all ears.
We got stuck about not having a will. But let me just tell you what I think is keeping us broke. And you just got one. And we've talked about it before, but like the monthly subscriptions that you forget about, like if they charge you annually instead of a month, and you're like, wait a minute, where did this come from?
Seriously.
It's like streaming services,
all the apps
magazines,
on social media,
the apps, and if you pay for it annually, you don't remember that in January it automatically renews, because sometimes they warn you and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, and a lot of times they don't. If it was my company, I wouldn't warn you. I'm just charging.
I did that with Peacock TV, and I think I told you all that just to watch one show, and then I forgot, and so it was going like $4.99 a month. So I called them like, I meant to turn this off. They gave me 1 month back. 1 month. Like, it's your fault. You didn't watch it. It's your fault. You should have called. You should have canceled.
Those apps really get you. The subscriptions, when you try it, the trial, they get me all the time.
All the time.
That's one thing you forget.
They're not going to call and tell you, hey, man, we finna charge you.
I mean, I think I posted a meme one day, like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but your trial period is about to end. Go cancel. Your trial period is about to end.
That's a good one.
I swear I forget mine all
I was just telling them the story. I got hit with an annual charge that was $150.
Oh, Jesus.
I was like, whoa.
What the hell?
Cancel. Cancel that immediately.
Yeah.
Subscriptions will keep
you broke.
You're
not remembering.
Yes.
And the worst ones are the ones you gotta keep. I have to have
gotta
Disney
keep 'em.
Plus.
You gotta keep
My
Disney
daughter
Plus, right?
will literally riot. All right, she will burn my house down
if
I don't have Disney Plus.
You gotta keep it.
Yo, they bumped it up from $12 to I think last month I paid $22.
Netflix is going up, so we
Really?
right. So we have
Yeah.
to say, do we want it or we don't? And nobody's canceling it, right? Are they
Okay.
getting a lot of
No.
cancellations? No.
Probably
Not-
not.
But Disney is
that
an arm and a
many.
leg, and literally they raised
$22
That's a
right
big
now.
difference and a big deal.
It's huge.
It's such a turn off.
22,
Like they don't
man.
have
I'm
enough
like-
money.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, really? And they started. I remember the first payment was $12.
Oh my
That's when I
God.
started. And it's been 2 years. Maybe
We got to get somebody in Congress maybe to kind of help us with this.
For real, man. We
Dr.
need help.
V.
We need help, Dr. V.
You hear we crying over here, Doc.
Man.
Well, what I want somebody to help me with, because I know it keeps you broke, because I don't use the word broke for me, but it's chokehold. How about that? This insurance,
Oh, yeah.
auto insurance homeowners has us in a chokehold
Yes, Lord.
in the state of Florida.
Right,
Sure do.
right.
What's going on?
You got to have it, huh?
You
I'm
gotta
just
have
happy I
it.
don't
Ain't
have
it a
car
no-fault
insurance.
state?
You gotta have it.
You know, so.
And some people are pulling out, so it's like you don't have all of the options that you had before. So what I want to tell people is, before you renew your insurance, do your homework. I saw a great article by in a well-known agent from State Farm. He's been with State Farm for I don't know how many years. He has a large clientele, but he said the increase in premiums, if it hasn't hit your insurance company, it's going to. He said it's gonna happen to everybody. The storms and all of the other stuff, he said it's gonna happen to everybody. So
the fires
my thing
and all of
is,
that.
we've been paying into them for 99,000 years, so I don't
understand.
I'm not on the math.
Don't you
ain't
have enough
mathing,
money
like,
backed up?
Yes, because I'm like,
Oh my god.
Well, then you do have a lot of insurance fraud as well.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and a lot of times with the hurricanes
Okay.
hit, you had a lot of fraud that come in.
I don't want to put anybody out there, and I want them to have marketing because everybody has marketing, but can they cut into their marketing budget?
Right.
Because
man.
everybody knows Jake from State Farm,
Sure
right?
do.
Like everybody knows.
I'm Jake.
Everybody knows that little duck.
I got
right?
some recent news regarding to what you were just talking
Yeah.
about. So, it turns out that certain things
What
have
is
gone
this?
down.
Oh, Mother Jones. I don't know what that is.
So it says that insurance companies gave Ron DeSantis millions of dollars, and he therefore made it harder for them to get sued.
Oh,
Really?
see?
Yeah,
See
so
what I'm saying?
They in bed with the politicians.
Hey, it's the same as always, ain't it? It's all about the money, honey. Where
See what I'm saying?
it's
And
all about the money.
like.
I'm not
Yeah.
surprised. Are you
Yeah.
surprised? I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised.
I ain't
I'm
either.
not surprised. Prince, do you like to dress well?
Yes, I do.
Mimi, do you like to dress well? Anybody?
I think I'm
Neil,
doing
you
pretty
like
good
to
right
dress
now.
well?
Peace
Yeah.
on the streets.
Peace on the streets.
Oh, you got the merch.
According to experts, being in style and fashionable will keep you broke.
100%.
Really, I believe that.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, does it matter if it's inexpensive or expensive? Will it still be challenging? Like, what if it's inexpensive stuff?
I mean, it still adds up if you buy a
Yeah.
whole bunch of
Yeah,
stuff.
a whole bunch of
Right,
inexpensive
if you can't,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
it's just like, if you continue to be a shopper, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I've learned now to stop shopping as much. I kind of cut back some,
Okay,
because
but-
I already got 4 or 5 of everything for what
Okay.
I really need. you know?
Everybody in here has a piece on the street shirt.
Right.
Everybody has a piece on the street hat.
Uh-huh.
We got to get that, right?
Correct.
Now I want long sleeve. Mimi has a long sleeve. I want a long sleeve.
Right.
So what does that mean?
We got to
I
buy
gotta when I
another
come in here on
shirt.
Wednesdays, I want a shirt.
Right, right.
So some people have managed to be in style and they say they don't spend a lot. And I
Okay.
get it. You can be in style and not spend a lot, but can you, like, my weight goes up and down, so
Uh-huh.
I gotta,
Right.
buy things
Nah,
that are
it's
appropriate.
always expensive. Even Goodwill has caught on to the fact that we were like thrift shopping, and even
Yeah,
Goodwill
they are
has
not-
marked up their
Yeah.
prices. It's like,
Yeah.
bro, this is disgusting. Like, you
Yeah.
can't even go to like get hand-me-downs for cheap anymore.
We're going to ask Dr. V, Mr. White, how can we get away? What can we do with these insurance companies and things that just go up all of a sudden? What should we be doing?
Well, one of the first things with the insurance companies, you need to deal with your state legislation, your state assembly. They're the ones who make the policy. Sadly, the state assembly has been pigeonholed by the governor because he is the one who laid the foundation and the argument that made it more difficult for individuals to sue insurance companies, to get benefits from insurance companies. So therefore, they're moving out of the state.
Yeah, they are.
That is his policy, but the assembly people did not fight him. So that's where it has to begin. Talking about being broke, we also have to look at the issue of inflation, right? Because right now, no matter how much money you're making, at the end of the year, you're in at least a $5,000 deficit because the inflation and your salary is not going up and it's not meeting that.
Right.
So that's causing many middle-class Americans and underclass Americans to be in a really tough situation.
Right.
So now we're looking at generational poverty. All right?
Okay.
And that's what's happening right now. The only way that is going to change, and you're right, you change your lifestyle, you budget yourself, but the only way that's going to change significantly, we have to have the right people who are strong, who are brave, and know the issues.
Right.
That's going to bring it up and force change. Because right now, the American people are struggling.
Yes, they are.
At every level.
Yes, they are.
So, and I said that before, like coming out of COVID, we've been talking about it and how things are going up. And so I guess we're finally starting to see people slow down a little bit. But even with inflation going up, and I'll go back to, say, 2022, inflation going up, people were still outside. Oh, yeah. People were still shopping. Right. People were still doing their thing. People were still spending a lot of money at brunch and lunch and dining out and all of those things. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm just saying that there's certain groups that are struggling, and the groups that are struggling, maybe they're just putting it on a credit card or whatever. But I'm gonna read the article. But there's I think it's Fidelity said their millionaires have actually increased. Mm-hmm. The millionaires that they have 750. I forget the number. They've increased.
Really?
Of course they do.
And a lot of it is because people have invested. I know the stock market is a little crazy now, but that doesn't mean you jump out. People who stuck to their strategy during COVID were rewarded.
Okay.
Right?
Rewarded.
So we know that in March, or when we first were in hibernation, I guess you want to call it, when we shut down, everybody was like, oh no, the stock market, and it tanked. What those people did was they said, cool, it's tanking. That for us is a sale. Okay. So we're going to go grab as much as we can grab at these cheaper prices. And then a month or two later, the stock market went up. Because I've told you all time and time again, over the long term, the stock market trends up. You will have downs because of inflation, because of war, because of COVID, because of a housing bust or whatever. You will have those valleys, but over the long term, the stock market trends up. And if you understand your risk level, if you stick to your strategy and you keep doing what you're supposed to do, you will be just like the Coca-Cola millionaires that are up near Tallahassee, Florida, that I talked to you all about. They stuck to the strategy, they stuck to the plan, and they live off of the dividends, and they're able to pass those assets on.
It looks like we're shooting for rich or poor. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
The way it's going.
And so everybody talks about the middle class, because the wealthy, for the most part, if you are wealthy, and I 1 million and 2 million is not wealthy.
No, not now.
That's just you getting rich, you got some money.
Yeah.
But when we start talking about 15, 20, 30 million, those 30 million, that's when we start talking about wealthy.
Right.
So we start exactly. So we are like there, and then you have some people who are ignored, who are poor, who are broke, whatever you want to call it. For some, it's about mentality. For others, it may be about behavior, and for some, it's just they just can't, that's where they are. So then you have that whole big old group of us, upper middle class, lower middle class, wherever you fall, because making $200,000-$300,000 a year, that's middle class. That ain't like
right.
That's middle class. So we're the ones that are.
All right, you guys, we got special guests in the house. Woo! We have Dr. V. Esau White, and he's running for Congress.
District 10. And we also have Samuel B. Ings, and he's running for future Orlando mayor.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, guys. Voting is when, Prince? November 7th?
Yeah, November 7th, you guys want to get out and vote, and you got to make a change yourself. You can't sit back and wait for somebody else, baby, to make a change. You got to make a change yourself. So, hey, welcome to the stage, the one and only Samuel B. Ings. Woo! Future mayor of Orlando, Florida. Yeah. How you doing, Mr. Ings?
Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you all, and I tell you what, even your finance program was just great too. So a lot of great information was given out to the people. That's what I love about Peace on the Street.
That's what we did
it, Daniel. We did it.
We did the thing. Let's go.
So November 7th is approaching very well. What should we be doing? Should we be doing early voting? I guess early voting has already happened, right?
It's already started.
Okay.
Yes, early voting is already started, and it will end November 5th.
Oh, okay. And after that, everybody got to go inside.
Is that how that works? So early voting means, like, where do you go for early voting? Is it mailing in only, or are you going to where they tell you to go? How does that work?
Miss Dean, can you cut your radio down? We can take. We hear the
echo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was doing.
Okay, sorry about that.
So early voting, if you can't hear me, how does that work before November 7th?
The early voting. How can we early vote? How can we early vote? What do we do?
Well, early voting is at the Supervisor of Elections office for all of those that live on the west side of Orlando. And the Supervisor of Elections office is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay. All right.
And it's located at 119 West Cayley Street, Orlando, Florida. So we've got to get out there and do it, make it happen, and we've got to vote and vote and vote for Samuel B. Ings for mayor of the city of Orlando.
That's right. Listen, while our boy is out here fighting for us, talking to people, talking to homeless people, being active in the communities, your boy, Buddy Dyer, was out partying with the Seagulls this weekend.
Come on.
The Seagulls, all right? Because he is, man, he is slimy, he is corrupt, and I am sick and tired of Dyer. That's right, baby. That's got to be your next campaign slogan, all right? I am sick and tired of Dyer. Come on, all right? We're all sick of it. Get this man out of here. Early voting is on right now, people. Go ahead and get rid of Dyer. And if you miss out on the early voting, please go out on the 7th. Vote for Samuel B. Ings. Let's go.
And right now on social media, like, we're getting a bunch of hearts right now, so we want to feed the people that are watching us because they mean everything to us as well. They're feeling the story. They understand. They see no change. He's been in the seat for so long, and he's running back again because he found out Samuel B. Ings is actually running. So isn't that something?
It's crazy.
Getting money from the rich people in Florida. He's going out and trying to make favors with all the rich people so that he can get votes, he can get money for campaigns. While instead of actually worrying about helping people, he's worrying about making money so that he could go run a bunch of TV ads and local campaigns and, clean up the street over here on this street or that street, just so that people can have the illusion of having some kind of activity in their neighborhoods. Meanwhile, this whole time, he's just out partying with rich people, getting drunk on Halloween and sucking up to the Seagulls, a bunch of degenerates that have been destroying people's lives through timeshare purchases that have been doubted illegally. And he even admitted to being part of the reason why George Bush won in Florida. After it was proven that he had lost in Florida, he was a big part of why we ended up going to the Iraq war, just in case we didn't have enough reasons to hate on them. So Sick of the Dyers.
Come on.
Sick of the Seagulls. Let's get him out of here. Samuel B. Ings for future mayor.
He's the man.
Good job, my friend.
I'm telling you.
That one was built up.
I see that.
He had to release that.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ings, we got to get out and vote. We got to make a change. So, where will you be this week? I know you're always somewhere. I'm seeing you everywhere. I was just at an event. I seen him there. He's always at.
And he does pop into us just to show love and support because he really cares about announcing for the people, about to stick up for the people.
Yes. And why should we vote for you, Samuel B. Ings?
Well, you know, the last thing, and as you all were talking about homeless, I was just remembering when I was walking off of Livingston Street along the railroad tracks near the woods that's in downtown Orlando. I mean, literally downtown Orlando, Livingston and Robinson Street, there is a homeless camp there. And the people are devastated. And they say this current mayor has done nothing for them and provides nothing for them. So we are looking to really help the people that are living in the woods. Now they've swept them off of Terry and Central Street. They swept them off of there. They moved them out. They put eviction notices on their tents.
On the
told them
camps?
they had to be out of there.
You could put it on a camp?
Wow.
This thing is really dire, and it's really, really, really causing some real serious problems for our community, and especially the homeless people.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm going to say, though, it's so bad. And I'm a testimony of it why I'm saying it because I'm so upset about it. I just got hired by Orlando City Soccer. I know. I know. We got to go to games. We got to go to games as a family. So we got to go to Peace on the Streets there. But while on my way there, I've seen them throughout the day, all day, walking, and then people are kind of walking fast, but they're in the mix, Prince. And you think that they'll be assisted some sort of way. And on my way leaving, I mean, I've seen so many in the street. It looked like there was an event going on. That's how many individuals I saw on the street. It was horrific, Prince. On my way back to going to Ocoee, Florida. I mean, all over the streets. They took over the whole side streets past the stadium, and it looked like an event. That's how many there were. It was after another,
Wow.
groups and groups. It's like, what's happening and what's going on?
Sam Ings is absolutely correct. This is Dr. White. Hey, good afternoon, Sam.
Hey,
You're
Dr.
absolutely
White.
Yeah, nice to talk to you. But you're absolutely right. We have a homeless problem. I've been to 120 countries, and the homeless problem that I've seen in downtown that Mr. Ings is talking about is worse than any country that I've seen.
Whoa.
We're not just talking about people homeless. We're talking about people laying in their own excrement. We're talking about people who are blind and trying to find food on the ground. We're talking about people who are living like worse than animals.
Wow.
That's downtown. And so if Sam is going to deal with this, I believe he is.
Yes.
All right, because he's a compassionate man,
Yes.
and he's a humanist.
Yes.
So, but that's one of the first places that he has to deal with, because in that area, that's where they hide all the homeless.
Okay.
And now they're talking about
They're
sweeping them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they saying, I guess they finna build up downtown, and now they saying they don't want them down there. Now they are putting trespass warrants on them.
But you can
and
put
all
an
that,
eviction
you know.
on a camp, like a homeless camp. They're not going to hear that. I mean,
You know,
it's just ridiculous.
That's like a cartoon villain kind of thing, right? Like, bro,
you know, one of the questions I would
what
have
do you mean?
is that how many people are dying on the streets?
yeah, literally.
Right.
Right
Yeah,
there.
literally dying on the streets.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, right there on Central and Terry Street between Washington and Central, about 15 homeless people have died right there on the street.
Wow.
There was a man that was in the area that says, a businessman that was in the area say he see the trucks come up, they put them in bags, like body bags,
no.
put them on the truck, and then they get rid of them.
Wow.
And so this is something that we've never heard of.
No.
15 people dying on the streets of Orlando as a result of being homeless.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow, that's
And that's
crazy.
like the most public ones, right? Like
Right.
you don't know about like how many
Yeah.
people just end up somewhere in the
In the
ditch
woods.
that just get left behind or found at some point later, mysterious circumstances. People and we were just talking with Chris over here, like people that have jobs. are homeless, right? Like people that have full-time employment go to their job, get off their job, and then go to a tent just to survive on a tent.
Wow.
What are we doing in this country where we're really in this level, man? And that's why we need people
Even the kids,
like Samuel B. Ings to be.
kids in school.
You know how much it would
food.
cost to handle the homeless problems in this country?
It's billion.
No, $25 billion.
That's
now,
nothing.
how much money?
Nothing.
That's nothing.
Nothing.
$25 billion.
That's
And you could get
2% of the military
that
budget.
Elon,
You know?
Elon Musk, whatever his name is, like
Sure. him
I've
too,
always
yeah.
said though, what all the riffraff he does, if he just gives it to the people, just one time,
Right.
this could help a change.
$2 billion, that's not a
wouldn't hold my
lot
breath.
at all.
I know.
No,
This is what
$25
gives me
billion
insane.
is not a lot.
But you know what's crazy, real quick? I don't want to talk trash about them. I want to move on with Sammy B. Ings and also Mr. Dr. V. But real quick, we had Oprah. We had several celebrities that actually came in and asked donations from the people to help the poor and the homelessness going on. They're asking us for money. Us.
Yeah.
Why don't they just
broke.
stick together?
What do you mean? You're a billionaire.
We're going to be like them. We're on the verge of them. So why don't the millionaires get together? Why are you asking the people? It's a smack in the face.
Right.
Why doesn't anybody say anything about it?
Well, see, I guess you could say with numbers. Numbers is a count. Where I mean, it's not like it's asking a lot of people for a lot of money. Just imagine everybody
Prince,
gave $20.
one of them can stop this.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Well, I mean, who got $2 billion?
Okay, two of them. How about that can stop
But,
this?
I mean, but
All day.
if we can spend $400 billion
That's right.
in Ukraine,
Right.
Come on.
you can find $25 billion.
Yo,
Come on.
Easy.
Come on,
That's
Elon.
nothing.
Elon.
Easy.
Let's be real here. Elon Musk spent what $14 billion, $20 billion on buying Twitter.
Really?
Come on.
Okay.
That would. I mean, I don't know
That's
if maybe it's like $20 billion annually. Let's say the U.S. military budget is almost $1 trillion. It's
Right.
like $860 billion to fund the military. We could probably do 20 grand of that.
Yeah,
and just
easy.
put it over here. Like it's not that big of a deal. But somehow, if anybody needs weapons anywhere,
yeah.
Ukraine,
Right.
Israel,
Right, we got-
your mom, your dad,
Yeah.
whoever needs weapons, we got weapons all day. We got money for that.
They did say 2 out of 7 kids are needing food in schools.
Wow.
So you have 2 out of 7. That's a big deal.
Yes,
and
it
these are
is.
kids in school, in public school system.
So our time is wrapping up. Samuel Bean, what would you like to tell the people before we get out of here?
Hey, listen, this man has been in office for over 20 years.
Oh,
He wants
gosh.
another 4 years. And the citizens of Orlando says, no, it's time for Buddy to go.
Yeah.
And so vote for Samuel B. Ings for mayor of the city of Orlando November 7th. And during early voting, vote for Samuel B. Ings for mayor for the city of Orlando. Buddy has to go.
I'm sick and
Buddy
tired
got
of Dyer,
buddy.
man.
Let's
I'm
go.
sick and tired of Dyer. As
What
you
is
got,
that slogan?
That's the new slogan, baby. I'm sick and tired of Dyer.
I'm going to say that when I vote.
It's over, baby. It's a wrap.
National World, Mrs. Angela.
Hey guys, how you doing? Do we have all the ladies on tonight?
We do. So let me make sure. We have Lauren on the line. Are you there?
Yes.
Hi, Lauren. So we have Lauren, and we also have Susmita. Are you there?
Hello, I'm so here.
And we have Estefania. Are you there?
I am.
I love it. I love it. So I have all the amazing girls and women on the line right now. And let me just give an introduction first. I have to bring on the youngest one that actually won the crown, which we call her Little Lauren, but it's Lauren Sassani. And she won Little Miss International World. Congratulations, Lauren.
Thank you.
We are so happy to have you, and thank you to your dad for allowing you to be with us so late. We're very grateful for you being here with us. And if I may ask you just a few questions, Lauren, about the pageant and why exactly did you join the pageant?
My name is Lauren Michael Sassani. I'm 8 years old. My head title is Little Miss International World. And as in Florida, what I like to do is tennis. I do Muse Center for the Arts. They do tap and jazz, lyrical, acro, ballet. And then I also do gymnastics. Gymnastics is like tumbling. And then I also do is FT Children's Theater, and I act.
Oh, my God.
and I'm her dad. I'm going to help her here.
Yes.
But she's saying, why did you get involved in the pageant?
Oh.
Uh-huh.
She's too cute.
Let's hear your answer to that. That was the question.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what did you say to that? What did you think about the pageant and getting involved in the pageant? Why was it good to be in the pageant for you? Do you want to say that?
Because I get to learn from the big girls.
Yes, you did. Okay, great. What did you learn from the big girls?
Their goals to get my goal.
So you got to see what their goals were in life,
Wow.
Get my goals.
and you can decide what your goals are going to be because you get to look at what their goals are.
Yes.
Right.
Insane. And she's only 8 years old, guys, and this is her first radio appearance. So great job, Lauren. I'm so proud of you.
You know, I just want to say as her dad that it was an amazing experience for her. You know, she said it was the best day of her life.
Wow.
And it really was. It wasn't just one day. It was a few days that the pageant ran over. But I was so impressed with the women that were involved in the pageant. I was impressed by the things that they do in their lives. I was impressed with the, you know, the backgrounds that they had, the diversity that was represented at the pageant, the amazing job that Angela does running this thing. I got to see just how complicated it was, you know, with all the details that she had to tend to with the, you know, I mean, she had her helpers, but, you know, she's created just an amazing experience for a lot of women, and it's a, you know, a great springboard for them in their lives. And it was so just wonderful to see how they treated Lauren. You know, they were so loving to her. They treated her just like she won, as though she was in the competition, even though it's an honorable title that she holds. And anyway, we're excited to have her participate in the events through the year and, you know, help to be supportive of the pageant and the positive influence that it has on so many people.
Oh my gosh, that's so well said, and we're so grateful for you being with us and allowing Lauren to be a part of this. We, as adults, we knew that this was great, and the reason why we joined this is because it's not a typical, you know, pageant. It's more of a changing the world. Like, all of us have a passion and also a platform. Excuse me, and we change the world with our platform. Excuse me about that, guys.
You know, I was amazed. You know, I have to say, I was amazed at the attitudes of all the women that were involved. I mean, you hear that sometimes pageants can be kind of catty or competitive or ruthless, and I didn't see anything like that. I didn't see anything like that. It was just people that were so supportive and positive, and you know, people from such diverse backgrounds. And you know, it was a great experience for Lauren. You know, she's meeting people from different countries and, you know, coming from different places.
Yes.
And, you know, it just helps her to get a better sense. You know, so it's a big learning experience for Lauren. And hopefully, you know, she'll be able to contribute in some way. You know, humbly, she's only 8. And it's past her bedtime. So she's a little quieter than she might normally be. But anyway, I just want to thank Angela and everybody involved in the pageant. And, you know, it was really a great experience for her. We're very appreciative of it.
I'm so happy to hear this. And thank you again for allowing Lauren to be here so late. We wanted to hear a perspective of an 8-year-old and to see what she's encountered. And as a father, thank you so much for relating that, because that's how we do see it. And the atmosphere is the way it is. It's because of the leader, and we understand that, Miss Angela. And they select these women to come in. It's not you just get in. They're selected in. And that proves to show about what they're doing themselves is they're powerful. And when we come together, no wonder why everybody's happy and why the positivity is there. And it's all about being together, really, and making a change. Of course, we're shooting to win, but we're here together. And when we're together, it's just a game changer. So we're so grateful for you allowing Lauren to be with us. Lauren, thank you so much for being your first debut on Peace on the Streets Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to give it up for Little Miss International. Good job.
All right.
Thank you.
Good job, Lauren.
Wasn't she great? So now we have Susmita, which is what Lauren's father was saying. One of the helpers that were part of this huge, huge deal. Susmita Patel she's an entrepreneur, a speaker, a mentor, TV and red carpet host, international model, 3-time international beauty queen. 3 times, where it's so difficult to get one. owner of SP Fashion Direct LLC, organizing and coordinating events, official Miss International World Pageant production coordinator, and contestant choreographer. Specializes in production and coordination of the events. Ladies and gentlemen, Susmita Patel. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Mimi.
It's a pleasure. Everyone looks up to you, Susmita. What gets you to be remaining in this organization after winning 3 times? What keeps you still here with us?
Honestly, you know what it is? It's at the end of the day, seeing the drive and the motivation, the passion, these women have. And a lot of times, like through my own experience, we've all come from different backgrounds and different stories, and we're all unique in our own way. And at the end of the day, we, as unique as we are, we still have a same goal, a same mindset, and it's very tough to get through and like be noticed or really get into making a change that you want to in this harsh reality of a world, right? And so the fact that we're able to become leaders and people see you as a role model, they look up to you of what you do. That's really the driving factor. It's a feel good kind of a moment when you just know that you have made a difference in someone's life, whether it's something small or a great deal, right? You can either be a stepping stone or you can be a lifetime coach. Doesn't matter, but one way or another, that little step or a giant leap of the difference in someone's life or in someone's journey, that for me has what's kept me around. Plus, there's a going saying that where Angela is, you'll find me. Where I'm at, you'll find Angela. We're literally, there's like an invisible tether that's looped around us. So it doesn't matter if we're on the opposite ends of the world. We're still tied together. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a journey. But joining the organization from when Angela found me and tried her best to get me involved, to holding 3 titles and now being indefinitely part of the organization. I love it. I absolutely do. It's been incredible.
Well, the ladies love you, and you already know this because your passion to help them succeed, to be the best version of themselves, because you guys always said, be you, be the best version of you, not trying to be the next queen, but be who you are. Truly makes you change. You become better. You understand yourself more. This has, for me, it has changed my life to understand myself more, to understand how hard and how much it takes to actually be the best of who you are. I had one of the greatest times of my lives. This is my second run with them, and I absolutely love and adore everyone. So it's real. The love is there, and we all do end up to be friends for, hopefully, God willing, a lifetime is what I've been seeing so far. I love what you do with the ladies. You don't put them down. You help them. You help encourage them, help make them stronger and better. And that alone, Susmita, would change the game in all of these women. And they've said
I appreciate it.
I'm so grateful.
I've always said, authenticity is one of the key to really knowing who you are and understanding yourself. And when you can really understand yourself and be comfortable with that and comfortable with being in your own skin, right? That's the only way you can actually make something of yourself and also help someone else. We all become so consumed in other people's expectations that we lose ourselves. And at the end of the day, you have to remember who you are, what you stand for, and, just pave the way for that. When others see, you're doing that, then it's starting to make the change because now you're going against the norm, and it's like, okay, well, this is the start. And people who are kind of hiding behind the scenes or, holding themselves back because they can feel the, reality of the people around him, and the setbacks. It's not an easy go. So I always say, stay true to yourself, stay authentic. I'm a very blunt person, as everyone knows. So if you want to hear what you want to hear, don't come to me. That's what I say. I give tough love. That's just who I am.
I love it, and that only makes us better. But your love is genuine, Susmitha, so that's what we know this, and we feel that, and that, forget it. You can make someone a beast of what you do. We are so grateful for you. I've always said that I adore you, so thank you so much for all that you do for us. Absolutely.
Streets Radio. I'm your host, Stevie B, Steve Brennan, and with me is Bucks Brandon. How you doing out there, buddy?
What's up? Doing good.
Good to hear from you. We have a very, very special guest. Former fullback of the San Diego Chargers, stuntman, executive producer, director for Pro Football Sports alum, and so much more, Mr. Bruce Rothschild. Let's give him a big Bruce and a round of applause.
Bruce. How about applause to you, Steve, for getting the name right?
Hey, I said it slowly and I was looking. It was all in the eye contact. Earlier, he jinxed me. I nailed it for you.
You did it perfect. And you're about the first person in about 40 years to get it right.
Hey, what can I say?
Very impressed.
There's only one of me, so.
A lot of confidence.
So, honestly, we have
Well, that's by law, isn't it?
Yeah, hopefully. Let's find out. Hey, so we have you're involved with so many charity works and so many things going on. Why don't you explain to us a little bit what you have coming up this weekend for us?
Well, what we have this Saturday is what's called Veterans Cemetery Restoration, and that is our 501c3, and we're actually doing the J.N. Tucker Memorial Cemetery, Shady Oaks cleanup. This is a cemetery that my good buddy Michael Cheek found about 4 years ago, and found it in such a disarray that there were open graves, there were homeless camps, there were literally trees and what's called potato vining that had covered up literally dozens of graves. And the other graves were unreadable. And what we found was that there are 35 veterans that we know are there that we were able to actually would clean up their graves, their whole grave site, and the entire cemetery. And we were lucky enough to get involved with Channel 13 News, later Fox News, who then, with other cemeteries, contacted us. And these are all African-American cemeteries that were started in 1912 and 1918 because there was no place for black folk to get buried in Brevard County. And so, in fact, the original Fort O'Galley, some of the people buried there are direct descendants of the slaves from the O'Galley Fort. There were actually 17 slaves that were brought in for that fort, and they started their families, and some of the folks are buried there. And we have Vietnam veterans there. We have Korean War, World War II. We have Desert Storm. And these cemeteries were started as donation-only cemeteries because if you didn't have money, you still got buried. And so the work of the cemetery was amazing that they were able to take these folks who would have been buried on their slaves' land or things like that, or just not be able to get any help or anything like that. And one of the things we found out, because one of the classes we took with the state of Florida, is that they have found by ground penetrating radar is that a lot of these white cemeteries have black folk buried outside the walls.
Wow.
And most people don't know about it. That they realized that when they weren't able to be buried at the white cemetery, which they never would have been allowed to even walk on the grounds unless they were digging the hole for somebody, that their loved ones were actually buried outside in basically the dead of night. And so what we really try to do, because we've got some wonderful volunteers that are coming out to this. We have nearly right now, last count, about 85 wonderful volunteers from the Chamber of Commerce, from Lieutenant Colonel Tim Thomas, who's councilman, and also involved with the Junior ROTC at Viera, who's going to bring out a good 25 of his kids. We're going to have an Eagle Scout project that's being completed there. So we're going to have the Boy Scouts. We worked with Connor and his father, David, and we recommended that they have the names printed on a beautiful sign, and we're actually going to be putting that up that day with all 35 veterans, along with all the service logos and things like that. We're working with the Knights of Columbus on that, who actually funded Connor on his project. So we have these wonderful volunteers. We actually got in-kind donations that we're so thrilled about. We've got Sam's Club gave us 10 cases of water and two cases of chips, because the last thing we need is be out there burying more people if it's too hot.
Absolutely.
I really shouldn't say that. It's poor taste. But we
yesterday
almost
was Halloween. It's still irrelevant. Why not?
Hey, I'm wearing my Halloween. And then we got Long Doggers gave us 5 cases. We've got Hooters with their wonderful chicken. I've got Dunkin' Donuts giving us 6 dozen donuts, but they may never see the light of day past my truck. But we did get 10 dozen donuts from Krispy Kreme. We got Sprouts Market giving us fresh fruit, because we got to have those kids not on a sugar high that's going to be
Absolutely.
buzzing all over the place. Mm-hmm. And just some wonderful people that are just doing great stuff with the volunteers. We couldn't do anything without them now, but it started with Michael and myself and Michael's wife Ardell and my wife Joy. We were out there cleaning, and we're out there with plastic bags. We with Michael and myself, we made galvanized pipes to put our American flag up and our 6 service flags. And so we were doing that ourselves, replacing the flags and just doing what we could. And then I realized, when I told Michael, whatever it takes, we will do this, I realized, like normal, my mouth wrote a check that wasn't possible. So that's why we contacted Channel 13 and Fox News and the American Legion Post 163 with Rose Yeary. We have the American Legion Post 191 with Andre Reed, but not that Andre Reed, because we probably get more press.
They don't have to know that.
Oh no, Andre Reed's going to be out there. And then myself and just a whole bunch of volunteers, folks like Andrea Fant was able to help us, and like Lieutenant Colonel Tim Thomas, who's a wonderful councilman who's been a mentor. One of the things that I'm always amazed at about what he does as a councilman and helping so many people and being involved with the Junior ROTC, he was actually one of the last soldiers who was permitted into North Korea to take the remains back of our soldiers who had been missing, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So that's quite the honor, and he's an amazing person. We work with Sheriff Ivey and the sheriffs, and it's just being able to work with these folks like the Knights of Columbus, who actually were the ones who actually paid for the sign, and John Bachar, who's getting his people out there along with Home Depot, will be putting up the sign. So we definitely need more help, more volunteers, and if anyone wants to bring food or some money to help too, because this is all privately funded. It's now just myself and my wife, because Michael, unfortunately, because of his health, had to move to Arizona with his DEA son, who I can't say his name, or I will be shot on the way to the car. Just kidding. And so, yeah, it's been a labor of love, but I didn't realize how much work it takes to fundraise.
Well, I can tell you, as a veteran myself, it's very much appreciated, especially with the Veterans Holiday coming up here in a couple of weeks. We need more people like that out there, promoting good, just positive vibes and just good for veterans. And that's really appreciative. I do have a question for you about the same thing. You were mentioning volunteers. How can anybody get a hold of you? How do they go about volunteering themselves? How do they do that?
They can call 1-800-GIVE-ME-MONEY. No, Yeah, I've got a website. We're on Facebook under Veteran Cemetery Restoration. We're also under the J.N. Tucker, or actually a Shady Oaks Cemetery Cleanup. My cell phone number, because I'll actually give that, is 321-514-9874, because we got some wonderful volunteers the last time we were on the show. Yes. And so I
Is there an extension for that give me money stuff? Or
well, that's your home number.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'll go throw mine out there for that. No problem.
Oh, yeah. Aren't you running that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's scrolling across the screen as we go.
Yeah, with Mimi, we're an infomercial.
Yeah.
Not available in any stores. Yeah, I think the CT is really starting to kick in.
You've also, not only have you been a part of the charity work and everything, I'm interested in what this Pro Football Sports Alum is. What is all that about?
Well, what it is, it's actually the World Sports Alumni. And it started out as a group of us 6, starting with Charlie Williams, who's our president, along with myself and a few other fantastic players from football and baseball. And we saw a need that we weren't able to do enough because being part of the NFL alumni, which is wonderful, but we pay for, we would go through so much red tape to try and do something locally, try and work with the Boys and Girls Clubs and things like that. And it just became harder and harder. So we started this World Sports Alumni on the assumption that we're going to help everyone that we can as often as we can and not have to worry about all the paperwork. And we don't charge our athletes anything. And we have, and in fact, it's the only alumni in the world that encompasses all professional sports. So we have incredible guys like Riddick Bowe and Pinklin Thomas, who are both 2-time heavyweight champs in the world. We've got Mike Tyson, which I think some people have heard of.
Yeah,
we've got guys that from golf to volleyball to baseball to really every sport possible. UFC. We were actually talking to Dwayne Johnson's dad before Rocky passed, because he wanted to join, and he wanted Dwayne to join too. But unfortunately, with his passing, it was tough. And we were just talking about in the green room. I have no idea what color it is. About losing a wonderful friend in Tim Wakefield.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're a Boston fan.
Absolutely.
And incredible team. And with Tim, he started out as a third baseman who couldn't cut it.
Right, exactly. And he ended up learning the knuckleball to keep himself in the league, keep himself relevant. He became arguably the greatest knuckleball pitcher of all time.
And how is that physically possible? And when did he decide, well, this isn't working, let's go and do the knuckleball?
Honestly, I would think dedication.
Yeah.
Want it. You just have to want it. You know?
Yeah, I just wish Tim Tebow. And so, in fact, the original Fort O'Galley, some of the people buried there are direct descendants of the slaves from the O'Galley Fort. There were actually 17 slaves that were brought in for that fort, and they started their families, and some of the folks are buried there. And we have Vietnam veterans there. We have Korean War, World War II. We have Desert Storm. And these cemeteries were started as donation-only cemeteries, because if you didn't have money, you still got buried. And so the work of the cemetery was amazing, that they were able to take these folks who would have been buried on their slaves' land or things like that, or just not be able to get any help or anything like that. And one of the things we found out, because one of the classes we took with the state of Florida, is that they have found by ground penetrating radar, is that a lot of these white cemeteries have black folk buried outside the walls.
Wow.
And most people don't know about it. That they realize that when they when they weren't able to be buried at the White Cemetery, which they never would have been allowed to even walk on the grounds unless they were digging the hole for somebody, that their loved ones were actually buried outside in basically the dead of night. And so what we really try to do, because we've got some wonderful volunteers that are coming out to this. We have nearly, right now, last count, about 85 wonderful volunteers from the Chamber of Commerce, from Lieutenant Colonel Tim Thomas, who's councilman, and also involved with the Junior ROTC at Viera, who's going to bring out a good 25 of his kids. We're going to have an Eagle Scout project that's being completed there. So we're going to have the Boy Scouts. We worked with Connor and his father David, and we recommended that they have the names printed on a beautiful sign, and we're actually going to be putting that up that day with all 35 veterans, along with all the service logos and things like that. We're working with the Knights of Columbus on that, who actually funded Connor on his project. So we have these wonderful volunteers. We actually got in-kind donations that we're so thrilled about. We've got Sam's Club gave us 10 cases of water and two cases of chips, because the last thing we need is be out there burying more people if it's too hot.
Absolutely.
I really shouldn't say that. It's poor taste. But we
yesterday
almost
was Halloween. It's still irrelevant. Why not?
Hey, I'm wearing my Halloween. And then we got like Long Doggers gave us 5 cases. We've got Hooters with their wonderful chicken. I've got Dunkin' Donuts giving us 6 dozen donuts, but they may never see the light of day past my truck. But we did get 10 dozen donuts from Krispy Kreme. We got Sprouts Market giving us fresh fruit, because we got to have those kids not on a sugar high that's going to be
Absolutely.
buzzing all over the place. Mm-hmm. And just some wonderful people that are just doing great stuff with the volunteers. We couldn't do anything without them now, but it started with Michael and myself and Michael's wife Ardell and my wife Joy. We were out there cleaning, and we're out there with plastic bags. We with Michael and myself, we made galvanized pipes to put our American flag up and our 6 service flags. And so we were doing that ourselves, replacing the flags and just doing what we could. And then I realized, when I told Michael, whatever it takes, we will do this, I realized, like normal, my mouth wrote a check that wasn't possible. So that's why we contacted Channel 13 and Fox News and the American Legion Post 163 with Rose Yeary. We have the American Legion Post 191 with Andre Reed, but not that Andre Reed, because we probably get more press.
They don't have to know that.
Oh no, Andre Reed's going to be out there. And then myself and just a whole bunch of volunteers, folks like Andrea Fant was able to help us, and like Lieutenant Colonel Tim Thomas, who's a wonderful councilman who's been a mentor. One of the things that I'm always amazed at about what he does as a councilman and helping so many people and being involved with the Junior ROTC, he was actually one of the last soldiers who was permitted into North Korea to take the remains back of our soldiers who had been missing, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So that's quite the honor, and he's an amazing person. We work with Sheriff Ivey and the sheriffs, and it's just being able to work with these folks like the Knights of Columbus, who actually were the ones who actually paid for the sign, and John Bachar, who's getting his people out there along with Home Depot, will be putting up the sign. So we definitely need more help, more volunteers, and if anyone wants to bring food or some money to help too, because this is all privately funded. It's now just myself and my wife, because Michael, unfortunately, because of his health, had to move to Arizona with his DEA son, who I can't say his name, or I will be shot on the way to the car. Just kidding. And so, yeah, it's been a labor of love, but I didn't realize how much work it takes to fundraise.
Well, I can tell you, as a veteran myself, it's very much appreciated, especially with the Veterans Holiday coming up here in a couple of weeks. We need more people like that out there, promoting good, just positive vibes and just good for veterans. And that's really appreciative. I do have a question for you about the same thing. You were mentioning volunteers. How can anybody get a hold of you? How do they go about volunteering themselves? How do they do that? They
can call 1-800-GIVE-ME-MONEY. No, no, I've got a website. We're on Facebook under Veteran Cemetery Restoration. We're also under the J.N. Tucker, or actually Shady Oaks Cemetery Cleanup. My cell phone number, because I'll actually give that, is 321-514-9874, because we got some wonderful volunteers the last time we were on the show. Yes. And so
is there an extension for that give me money stuff or?
Well, that's your home number.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'll go throw mine out there for that. No problem.
Oh yeah, aren't you running that right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's scrolling across the screen as we go.
Yeah, with Mimi, we're an infomercial. Yeah, not available in any stores. Yeah, I think the CT is really starting to kick in.
You've also, not only have you been a part of the charity work and everything, I'm interested in what this Pro Football Sports Alum is. What is all that about?
Well, what it is, it's actually the World Sports Alumni. And it started out as a group of us 6, starting with Charlie Williams, who's our president, along with myself and a few other fantastic players from football and baseball. And we saw a need that we weren't able to do enough because being part of the NFL alumni, which is wonderful, but we pay for, we would go through so much red tape to try and do something locally, try and work with the boys and girls clubs and things like that. And it just became harder and harder. So we started this World Sports Alumni on the assumption that we're going to help everyone that we can as often as we can and not have to worry about all the paperwork. And we don't charge our athletes anything. And we have, and in fact, it's the only alumni in the world that encompasses all professional sports. So we have incredible guys like Riddick Bowe and Pinklin Thomas, who are both 2-time heavyweight champs in the world. We've got Mike Tyson, which I think some people have heard of. We've got guys that from golf to volleyball to baseball to really every sport possible. UFC. We were actually talking to Dwayne Johnson's dad before Rocky passed, because he wanted to join, and he wanted Dwayne to join too. But unfortunately, with his passing, it was tough. And we were just talking about in the green room. I have no idea what color it is. About losing a wonderful friend in Tim Wakefield.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're a Boston fan.
Absolutely.
And incredible team. And with Tim, he started out as a third baseman who couldn't cut it.
Right, exactly. And he ended up learning the knuckleball to keep himself in the league, keep himself relevant. He became arguably the greatest knuckleball pitcher of all time.
And how is that physically possible? And when did he decide, well, this isn't working, let's go and do the knuckleball?
Honestly, I would think dedication.
Yeah.
Want it. You just have to want it. You know?
Yeah, I just wish Tim Tebow had taken that story.
Figured something else out.
With the Patriots, he had a real shot.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, I mean, it's not like Tim Tebow is really hurting or not enjoying his life in the moment. But I totally agree. I wish there could have been another avenue for somebody to realize that there's a place for me. It just may not be what I necessarily wanted, but and especially with the newer NFL there too. Tim Tebow, he was just too ahead of his time. I mean, it's not the greatest, but he was just, I think, ahead of before you had the Lamar Jacksons and the Taysom Hill. He would be Taysom Hill.
I think he would have been a great Wildcat quarterback who also did tight end and would split out.
Yeah.
Because he has a great football IQ.
Absolutely.
The problem is, I think what happens to a lot of athletes is sometimes the ego gets the best of what's best for them, even though he has this wonderful life. He's doing great things. He does a ton of charity, does stuff with the church. And less possibility of CTE. going to church on Sundays. So, a lot less smacks to the head.
A lot less head injuries, just being a great person.
Absolutely. And he is a great person. I just really thought he was going to be in the league for a good 10 years. And
that should almost be like a disclaimer or a note to self. If you want to be just a good person, you don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of our guys, Brandon Merriweather, I was just talking to him. He played with the Patriots and went to University of Miami. He couldn't play in this league now. You look at the hits he had in college and pros, they would have thrown him out.
Oh, for sure.
After the first game, because he destroyed people. And it was just his way of hitting. My guy, Aaron Mitchell, who I went to high school with, who played for the Dallas Cowboys, was the same way. Mm-hmm. And you had guys who just would take people out, and that was the game back when I played.
Well, that's a good segue, actually, really. So what do you think of the new NFL compared to the older NFL? There is obviously generational gaps each time. Do you think it's better, worse, or do you think it's just improving the game so that people are going to have longer careers? Like, I don't know if Brady could have lasted as long as back in, like the 80s or even earlier than that, Like, do you think that it's better for the game, or would you like to go see back to a little bit more rougher styles?
I got to see the problems of CTE firsthand with friends that I lost, from boxers to football players. And back then it was just dementia or a punch drunk or things like that. So we were good friends with the Corey brothers, Mike and Jerry Corey. And Jerry was a great friend who fought Muhammad.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on Peace on the Streets Radio.
Yo.
The NFL trade deadline has come and gone. So let's take a look at what actually happened, and then I want to get you guys' reactions on who you actually think won this whole thing. We start with the Buffalo Bills, who traded a 2024 third-round draft pick to the Green Bay Packers for cornerback Rasul Douglas to shore up the defense after losing Tre'Davious White for the season. The Bills also received a 2024 fifth-round pick in the deal. The Bills were not done actually at that point either. They actually signed former Bucs running back playoff Lenny, Leonard Fournette, to the practice squad. There hasn't been any word yet if he's going to be a big part of it yet, but he's on the practice squad, so it'll be more TBD, if you will.
Yeah, that one definitely hurt a little bit.
Yeah. The 6-2 Detroit Lions traded a 2025 sixth-round draft pick to the Cleveland Browns for Donovan Peoples-Jones, which I like that one a lot. I think that's a really good one. He was underutilized in Cleveland. In Cleveland, so I think that was a really good one. The Jacksonville Jaguars shore up the offensive line, trading a 2024 sixth-round pick to the Minnesota Vikings for Ezra Cleveland. Excuse me.
So Cleveland trades Cleveland to Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly. In which case, it just turns into Miami.
Oh my!
So that's not it. We got a lot more to go. So put your seatbelts on. The Vikings had a busy day making the move with the Arizona Cardinals, sending 2024 sixth-round pick and former QB Josh Dobbs after Kirk Cousins suffers a torn Achilles in Sunday's victory over the Packers. The Vikings also get a 2024 seventh-round pick in the deal. The Chicago Bears get some much-needed defense, sending their 2024 second-round pick to the Washington Commanders for defensive end Montez Sweat. Whew, if he ain't sweating already, that's scary there.
Right.
The Seahawks traded their 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 pick to the New York Football Giants for defensive lineman Leonard Williams. And finally, brace yourself for this one, because this one was hot. The San Francisco 49ers sent 2024 third-round pick to the Washington Commanders for defensive end Chase Young. Whew. All right, so out of all those, who do you think won this? I'm going with you, Brandon. What do you think, buddy?
I'm going to go with the team from the other Bay Area, the Niners. Like you have an already stacked defense, and it's just an abundance of riches on that side of the football. And they're pretty much in a seat where every position on either side is loaded with star power at every single level, whether it's in the trenches, whether it's at the skill positions. They're pretty much set.
Yeah, 100%. Like I mean, think about that. You got who you're gonna block. Honestly, you put on there on the field. You got you got Nick Bosa, and then you got Chase Young coming on the other side. And that's not even if they're playing at the same time. Like that's just intense. What do you think?
I definitely think what the Niners have done well, and then the Bills right after them.
Yeah,
because with the Bills, we're just starting to degrade for some reason, and just have problems with cohesion, problems with getting their stuff together when they started really well on a lot of things, and then just you watched them go, what happened? They just lost the zip. And being able to bring in players like that can do so much good because it tells the team we're willing to go for it now.
Mm-hmm.
What players hate is like rebuilding year. You're not worth a pile of crud.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just go out there and play your heart out and get injured, and no one's going to give a crud.
Yeah.
So being able to watch a owner and management go after players and go, okay, we're going to give up a bit down the road, but we're not giving up on this.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. And having coaches who are going to be able to explain that to the players, because sometimes they're going, well, why'd you bring this guy in? Well, here's why. So better coaches will actually have team meetings and go over those things, where some coaches will just kind of go, okay, well, they're men. We're not going to have to explain anything.
Yeah.
And we're still big, stupid, lumpy kids who want to, because we've been told our whole lives, here's what you eat, here's where you train, here's what you do. And then they go, oh, you guys are men, figure it out.
Yeah. Not a lot of
Brendan,
direction
what do
there.
you think about Leonard Fournette going to the Bucks? You think, going to the?
I wish he was coming back to the
going
Bucs.
to the Bills. Do you think he still has anything left in there? Or?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he's only 28. I mean,
exactly. Like,
he's got a kick butt.
Exactly. Yeah, and he usually I know a lot of times, especially nowadays, the age for kind of casting off a running back is done is usually 30. But even then, if you give him a good offensive line, which the Bills have, the Bills still have a stacked offense, and he'll still perform. Like, I think the big reason why last year he was kind of falling off towards the end with the Bucs, the yards per carry went down, is because of the injuries to Ryan Jensen, is the injuries to a lot of the offensive line. And it doesn't matter how good of a running back you are. If you don't have a quality offensive line in front of you, you have no holes to open up. You've got nowhere to go. And Leonard Fournette is a north to south runner. Yeah. He needs those running lanes, especially in between the tackles, to open up. And I think he's going to do great in Buffalo. And I think as well, just I guess one last team that not necessarily won the trade deadline, but a team that kind of helped address the position of need is Minnesota with Josh Dobbs, with Kirk Cousins going down. There's really no, I guess, win-win situation for them. So it's like you got to kind of get what you can get. And Dobbs showed a little bit of promise in Arizona.
Dobbs has looked a heck of a lot better than I think a lot of people expected, honestly.
Yeah,
I think they were hoping that would almost be like the tank guy, but he's actually played really well. I mean, they've almost won about 75% of the games they were in. The defense isn't great. I mean, they're not a great team, but they've showed a lot of heart. Honestly.
Exactly, and you give him the weapons that he'll now have in Minnesota.
Oh, absolutely.
He's going to be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's going to also bring up another interesting part of that whole thing is what do you do with Justin Jefferson? Because the whole thing was going to be, they were going to stink. They were going to, what are you going to do? Because he's a free agent. But Minnesota is probably going to win that division. So what do you think they're going to do? What would you do in that situation if you were the GM? Would you sit Justin Jefferson, or would you go for it and hopefully maybe make a nice playoff run? Because your defense is playing better than it was last year, and that was your Achilles heel. No pun intended, but.
Yes. I would definitely put with Dobbs in, but what you're going to see at practice is how he handles that situation and how well he's able to really communicate with his line, his ends, and be able to get that timing right. Because being able to just step in with a guy of his quality, because he is a very good quarterback who hasn't been in the best situations in some cases. And being able to, get his confidence back and get those snaps under center, even though almost they never go under center anymore, but being able to get those snaps in with the first team is how you're going to see how he's going to react. And you see so much in these practices, which is why they film everything, is they can break it down on see what he may not be doing accurately right now and be able to fine-tune it within a day or two.
What I think is going to be an interesting aspect with the Dobbs trade, though, honestly, is that brings a whole other aspect to Minnesota's offense that they didn't have. Kirk Cousins, he can run if he has to, but that's his last option. Dobbs is a pretty large guy that can actually move. So that's going to change a lot of things for Minnesota. I mean, now you have Cam Akers, Alexander Madison, and essentially another running back up there as well. And Jordan Addison's playing out of his mind right now, and it's...
Well, and we're forgetting TJ Hawkinson, too.
Absolutely, right.
So many weapons on that offense, and now that you bring in a competent quarterback, not just kind of basically trying to tank from here on out. Now you're showing your team like, hey, we still do want to win, and I think that'll kind of rally them, and that it'll be an interesting fight for the NFC North for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't think it's also going to make them like the favorite to win. You know,
No.
the NFC is winnable though.
It's wide open.
But I do think that's going to put a good taste in the players. You know, like they're going to be happy. They're going to be excited that, hey, you guys made a move for us. Like you were saying, the letting them know that we do care and we are trying to win. We're not just trying to tank the rest of this. But let's segue from one team that's made some interesting moves to a team that made no moves. The Tampa Bay Bucks. Hey, how's it going out there? So the Tampa Bay Bucks took on the Buffalo Bills last Thursday, and as we predicted last week on the show, they got a loss. They lost to the Buffalo Bills.
Well, you guys said they.
You stuck to your guns.
Oh, I will always rep my team. Red and pewter, I bleed.
They lost to the Buffalo Bills 24-18. Baker Mayfield went for 24 for 42, 237 and 2 touchdowns. Rachaad White was the leading rusher and receiver, which is probably not the best idea for the Bucs, with 9 carries for 39 yards, 7 receptions for 70 yards. What's going on with the Bucs? If Rachaad White is now your leading receiver over Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, what are they doing?
I think something they're not doing, getting Mike and Chris involved a lot earlier in the games. And I think we kind of touched on this a little bit last week. They're kind of spreading the wealth around, and in most offenses that's good. But when you have 2 game changers in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, you got to strike to them first and foremost. Get the defense to focus on them, and that's when you then open it up to your other playmakers, your Trey Palmers, your Rachaad Whites. And Rachaad White, I know he's had his struggles in the run game, and I think, again, we've talked about it a lot, whether it's, the offensive line still needs some work done, especially in between tackles, and they've consistently tried to run inside, even though, just in my opinion, I think if your interior offensive line play is not doing well, you want to run outside. But if that's not working, he's shown that he can still be involved in the passing game. Yeah. Like you said, like 70 yards receiving. Like that's remarkable out of a running back, and that's still right. And he still has a spot on this team. I think some people are calling us to trade or bench him. No, I think he still has a place, but I think what we're seeing with him at least right now, he could grow in the next few years to be the main back, but I think right now what he's still showing is that he might still need a complementary piece. And whether that's, obviously it's a trade deadline, so you can't go out and get anybody now. Mm-hmm. So maybe you see what you got with your roster. Keyshawn Vaughn's still on there. Sean Tucker's there. They just got back Chase Edmonds. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's next year as well. Like you still have some time to figure out what Rachaad White's role is in this offense.
Yeah, it was really just the Bills domination. They led the total yards of this game was 427 to 302 in favor of the Bills.
Yep.
Passing yards was 312 to 224. Rushing yards 115 to 78. The time of possession was 31:57 to 28:03. 11 penalties for the Bucs and 9 for the Bills. The only thing that the Bucs actually led in was an interception from Josh Allen. So it was just an interesting game because you just get to see either the Bills are finally get that get right game and now they're going to be what we all preseason thought they're going to be, or the Bucs are just kind of pumpkin just because of its Halloween is what it was on my mind, but they kind of turning back into the pumpkin, if you will, because they started out so great and Baker was hot. He looked good. It's like, wow, this team actually can win the South, and it's just not looking like that at all.
Well, one of the things that I think you have to do with Mike Evans, because he's used to being numero uno, mentally and physically. Mm-hmm. And when he's not being thrown to, he is not in the best mental place. You can see certain other folks who haven't handled that well. In fact, with the Bucs just a couple years ago, when they take their uniform off in the middle of the game. And there is a mental aspect that folks sometimes forget. One, they're human, and 2, they're used to the accolades. They want the accolades. They live for that. They've had it from the time they were 9 years old in Pee Wee football, and all of a sudden everything's moved away from them. And they go into these mental funks that affect them physically as well as mentally.
Yeah,
they didn't move him, and so essentially, and the way they sound, they don't sound like they're going to. So it really just kind of sounds like they're going to let him walk for borderline nothing, which I kind of find that to be a bad move, really.
I feel like if anything, just based on my own experience, I guess my prediction, you could say, I feel like there's a few people that are going to try to re-sign this offseason. Antoine Winfield Jr., obviously long-term, Tristan Wirfs long-term. But I think Mike Evans will be that underrated piece that they try to make a career Buccaneer, just because not just what he did in the past, but he's still producing at a very high level. Like, when you target him and you're able to make him a part of the focal point of the offense, he's still producing at a Pro Bowl quality level. So I think this offseason, I think they're going to try to make a big push to bring him back in. They're just going to let him focus right now on this season, but then once the offseason comes, negotiations is going to start again, and I think he'll be back in red and pewter.
Well, going from Tampa Bay all the way up to the First Coast in Jacksonville, the Jags have continued their winning ways. They have not lost at all in the month of October. They even went up to Pittsburgh and won 20-10 in a completely Pittsburgh day. Ugly, raining, cold, people are in their ponchos in October. Like, that is like Pittsburgh at this point. The Jags at this point, to me, kind of remind me of like a Dr. Seuss book. They're winning here, they're winning there. They can win anywhere. Yep. They've won in 2 different countries and won on the road. They've won at home. I'm not the biggest Jags fan, but it's kind of hard to not, get behind this team and think that they have legitimate chances to either be in the AFC Championship without a doubt or the Super Bowl. I don't feel like that's out of the question at this point anymore. What do you think?
At this point, you should write a book, though, too. They win here, they win there, they win everywhere. But, yeah, no, I agree. And what I think, if you remember, like 5 or 6 years ago, that Saxonville team that made it to the AFC Championship game, the one thing that was holding them back was a great quarterback. And now they have their guy in Trevor Lawrence, and he's not just a one-hit wonder. I think he's shown that he's going to be a consistent producer for years to come.
Yeah, and honestly, on this 5-game winning streak right now, I think the biggest star has been 2 people, really. It's been Josh Allen on the defense, and then it's been Travis Etienne. And this 5-game winning streak, he has 378 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, 16 receptions for 1 TD. If you don't hit him with that Ric Flair, woo! I don't know what you're going to do after this, but they're just playing lights out right now, and it's kind of hard to bet against them. They're going into the bye this week, so that gives them a little bit of time to get healthy, a little bit of time to get their mind right. But they legitimately are on the right track to host a playoff game, let alone the entire AFC Championship.
Oh yeah,
and also one thing too, their bye is really a great time to have their bye, because at this point everybody's hurting. Everyone's just banged up.
Yeah, including Lawrence. He gutted it out against that New Orleans game. Came back, looked a little sloppy, had a bad turnover in the end zone, but still, he's doing what he needs to do to win, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to be the star of the team every single time. Just do what you need to do to win.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they end up in the Super Bowl.
I agree. Speaking of which, we still got another Florida team that's playing pretty lights out as well, and that is the Miami Dolphins. How are they going out there? Yeah, so Tua continues to have it's what I always found wild is this actual fact that Tua's never lost against Bill Belichick. Yeah. Peyton Manning, you go down the list of all these amazing quarterbacks, and Tua is the one he hasn't been able to crack the code. What is your honest thoughts of the Dolphins at this point?
They are playing at such a high level of speed. You watch this team in person, and you're stunned how quick these players are. And they're 1 or 2 gears above a lot of other players, not only in the offense, but the defense has just been rocking. And I've been watching them going, this is a consistent, where I thought, okay, Dolphins should have a pretty good year this year.
Yep.
And they have just shocked me on how good they are. But you look at their positions and you look at the speed that they're coming off the line from either side is staggering for a team to have that kind of speed.
Yeah, a lot of people just kind of point towards Tyreek Hill, and don't get me wrong, he's arguably the fastest player in the league, but it's really a team effort, and speed kills, and the Miami Dolphins are they've been running the gauntlet so far this year, whether it's on offense or defense.
What a time to be in Florida for football right now. We got 2 winning teams and 1 team that, maybe next year, but we're all doing really well. We're about to sign off. Before I wanted to sign off, I wanted to give a shout out to somebody. They're a great company. They've been helping out. They just got my fence done. It's 3mfencing.com. They're a fantastic family-owned business, so reach out to them. Well done. They're great people.
Do it.
We have to wrap this up. I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you walk away. Have a good night. This has been Peace on the Streets Radio.
Yes, sir.
Whoop, whoop.
And we thank you guys for being a part of Peace on the Street Sports Talk. You guys, we're going to have to wrap this pod up. Mimi, give me your spiel, girl.
Come on, guys. The saddest thing is wasted talent. Don't waste the gift that God has given you. Go full force and never let fear or intimidation stop you. Buenas noches, Orlando.
Yeah. Mimi, boning knees to you, too.